The Me Too movement has forced a discussion about sexual harassment and consent in the workplace, in Hollywood, and in the locker room. But what about in schools? While colleges have tackled the issue by training students about relationships and consent, those who teach sex education in K through 12 say it needs to start much earlier. Special correspondent Lisa Stark of our partner Education Week visited a Washington, D.C. school that is committed to comprehensive sexuality education. It's part of our weekly segment, Making the Grade.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think we're going to talk about today?
Sex.
Sex? Okay, who said sex? Excellent.
This is sex ed on steroids. Yes, there's the usual talk of anatomy, safe sex, and abstinence. But the key focus, how all this plays out in the real world.
So what that looks like on Saturday night, or if you're interested in someone.
Shafia Zaloom has been teaching comprehensive sexuality education for 25 years.
How many kids are getting this kind of sex education?
I don't think a whole lot.
But there's a big push to change that.
There are growing allegations of sexual harassment.
The uproar over recent cases of sexual harassment and assault, the resulting Me Too movement, has some states and school districts rethinking their sex ed curriculum to include healthy relationships, preventing violence, ensuring consent.
There is a need for there to be conversation and education around all the different ways in which our culture influences our relationships and social dynamics that may lead to harassment or assault.
Senior Tice Christian agrees.
We have a book on healing.
She's worked to help victims of sexual assault.
Most sexual assaults, especially in high schools, are by people that you know, people that you see every day, and I think that's one of the reasons why we need to talk about consent and healthy relationships, because it helps reduce sexual assaults.
Christian attends Georgetown Day High School, a private school in Washington, D.C. that my children attended. The school brought in Shafia Zaloom for a week of sexuality education, much of it focusing on consent, how to know if someone is agreeing or not agreeing to intimacy.
Consent is what makes sex legal. It protects the fundamentals of human decency, which of course is essential.
Zaloom, a San Francisco-based educator who teaches around the country, puts it in language anyone can understand.
How many of you like French fries? Oh yeah, okay. Put your hands up high. Fries lovers?
Okay, she says, what if you sit down at a lunch table with your French fries and friends just start grabbing them?
How many of you are actually okay with that?
Even if I don't want all the fries, it's just the principle of the fact that they think they can take my fries when I bought them with my money.
I mean, in general, like the people who respect you enough to ask are the people that you want to share with.
Now, how does this actually relate to sexuality? Not to minimize the topic of consent with fries, but like what belongs to you? Your body. People's bodies belong to them. They get to choose how they touch and get touched because their bodies belong to them.
Zaloom uses movie clips to help teens figure out what consent should look and sound like.
Okay.
Was it consensual? Okay, how did you know? Yep.
Ask what you wanted to do beforehand.
Ask what she wanted to do beforehand. How do you want to be, right?
And if it's not consensual?
Yes, so you have every right then in that moment to say, you know what, this doesn't feel so right. I want to stop. And that no one should ever have to engage in a sexual experience that they don't feel comfortable in or that they're coerced into, that we have the right to change our minds.
These can be tough subjects to talk about, but students like Logan McDermott Mostowi are thankful for the discussion.
I just think it's really important so people know not only how to be safe, like from things like pregnancy and STDs, but also sort of how to feel empowered to like ask for what they want within sexual relationships and just have good relationships.
Sex education is required in just over half the states and Washington, D.C. What that includes varies widely.
It's a patchwork of laws right now, and that is really challenging.
Chitra Punjabi is president and CEO of a group that helped develop the National Sexuality Education Standards, which any school can utilize.
So the standards are comprehensive in that they include things like anatomy and physiology, pregnancy and reproduction, healthy relationships.
But most districts aren't using the standards or teaching the sex education topics, 19 in all, recommended by the Centers for Disease Control. Just 38% of high schoolers and 14% of middle school students nationwide are getting this education. Everything from information on sexually transmitted diseases and contraception to decision-making skills.
We're still not reaching as many young people as we could be reaching, and quite frankly, as we should be reaching.
I mean, if they're with their consent, there's nothing wrong with it.
That is especially true when it comes to young men.
If this is an issue that disproportionately affects women, but men are disproportionately the perpetrators, men have to be involved in the conversation.
Jacob Gaba and Alex Thompson are working to make that happen.
And so we're going to be talking about what happens at dances, how consent applies or doesn't apply.
They've formed a group at Georgetown Day called Boys Leading Boys. At lunch meetings twice a month, the discussion focuses on male culture and how guys can help fight sexual harassment and assault.
We're kind of trying to, start to hold ourselves and other young men accountable for their actions and to teach each other how to hold their peers accountable.
Today, the talk is about what's called grinding, dancing with bodies up close, and how to make sure the girl is okay with that.
It's a tough space to communicate in, right? It's dark, there's a lot of loud music.
I think like an easy just like tap on the shoulder and like you good so that you can hear like a thumbs up.
And what if you see another guy behaving badly?
What would you guys do to intervene in that situation?
I sort of just got his attention and pulled him away to the side and started talking to him about something else.
Awesome.
It's not easy to change centuries of common behavior.
So have you gotten any pushback from any of the male students here, oh, come on, give me a break or anything like that?
Sometimes someone will say oh, what you guys are doing is so soft. Why is it such a big deal that, guys want to be masculine?
Schools are often where attitudes about how men and women behave get learned and reinforced. It's one of the reasons Zalum and others believe this is the right place to educate teens on consent and healthy relationships.
I want to encourage you when it comes to your relationship practice that there be respect, empathy, and dignity.
I think that the more we know and the less confusion there is and gray areas there are, the easier it will be to navigate these situations when we face them later in life, in college and beyond.
Situations brought into the open with the Me Too movement, and that some hope can be prevented with education like this.
A sense of self-worth, absolutely.
For Education Week and the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Stark in Washington, D.C.